Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Road to Rotation. This week will probably be a little quicker because this leader has quite a bit of overlap with some of the other leaders we've done, but I'll give it a full look over nonetheless. So our leader today is Charlotte Katakuri. He's a 5-life mono yellow leader with 5,000 power, and on ×1, when attacking, look at up to one card from the top of your or your opponent's life cards and place it at the top or bottom of the life cards. Then this leader gains 1,000 power during this turn. So it's a very simple leader ability, and actually pretty reasonably strong because it's so generic and it can kind of fit into a lot of different places. At a kind of base level, your leader is almost always going to be attacking at a 7k or more, which is a pretty good baseline. Just always being able to pressure your opponents while doing what the deck wants to do anyways is a pretty good place to be. When you're looking at your life, you're usually trying to set up beneficial triggers for you, usually having them set in the back. Cards like Beji and the 0-cost yellow event are really backbreaking if you can get them as they'll guarantee them to be your last life. So Katakuri helps do that. And then if you're targeting your opponent, you're trying to manipulate any triggers that they might have. So in the current meta, we have Boa. And if you go to look at your opponent's life and you see a Gorgon Sisters, for example, you would put that on the bottom. Because you don't want them to either have the 2k and you definitely don't want them to have the free body. So you can kind of delay those triggers. Or if you see something without trigger, you just let it happen. And then you know some information about their thing. It leans pretty well into the character's future sight ability and his advanced Conqueror's Hockey, or not Conqueror's Hockey, Observation Hockey. And it's just a pretty good match for the character and ends up being a pretty powerful ability. The first set of cards I was going to go over for him are the Big Mom Pirates cards. We've gone over these recently with Black-Yellow Big Mom, so I won't dwell on them too much. We have some good 2Ks in Flampe, adding some card advantage, and Zeus, adding some removal. Both of them actually adding a bit of card advantage because you're taking a life from your hand into your life into your hand. Other cards, we have Yellow Searcher here with the Pudding. And then we have, which was very important in early yellow, was some trigger bodies. We have Paraspero, Brulee, and Cracker as various bodies to use at different points to trigger out. I will say that this leader tends to be very generic right now, but has always had a very kind of aggressive bent to it, where you're hoping to get your triggers that advance your game state rather than being defensive. You still put in the really strong defensive events or triggers, but a lot of times you're hoping to ignore playing to board quite as much, favoring instead playing out bodies out of life and controlling and kind of manipulating and setting up stuff with your leader ability. And then as far as Big Mom Pirates top end, we have this Katakuri who doubles as both removal and as heal. And then we have the classic 10-drop Big Mom. A lot of times, if you can get your opponent into a state in the end of the game, this is just kind of a slow checkmate that will eventually grind them out. And it's kind of hard to beat. You are also a pretty fast deck, so it's often hard for decks to pressure you back, especially because if you're getting good triggers, you get an even faster clock. So it ends up being pretty reliable to at least cast the first Big Mom. Sometimes your opponent can have enough stuff to pressure you back on the second one, but the first one is usually pretty safe to get down. So that's the Big Mom Pirates package. The other thing I want to go over are all the triggers. Because you get to stack your triggers a little bit, you get a lot of extra value out of triggers. So a couple cards to highlight in that category. We have the Lilith, who's a good searcher for all of your other triggers. Onami as a good tempo trigger. if you can get this set up in a good way, then you can keep your opponent from catching up and just use your bodies instead of trying to help clear board to keep the game at parity. You can use this trigger to clear board and then just get to swing all of your swings at face, which really fits in with the kind of aggressive angle with it. And then if you end up drawing it, it's either just a 1K or you can use it with Banish on your leader. And because your leader's swinging a little bit more, a little bit higher than usual because of the leader ability, Banish can be pretty effective at kind of keeping your opponent from stabilizing if you get a good early start. Next up, we have another good 2K option with Beji, which is particularly potent if you can put it at the bottom or you can kind of predict when you're going to see it. Knowing when you have a Beji is actually really helpful in improving the quality of this card. One of the things that is both annoying, both positive and negative, is how swingy this card is. You can completely blow out your opponent with a well-timed Beji, or it can be poorly timed and it can do close to nothing. So being able to use the leader ability to predict when this thing is going to come out, or maybe even setting it as your last life, can be super valuable in helping you plan out those in-game situations where you need to survive. After that, we have another trigger body. This time it's a blocker, so you can kind of fit both of the aggressive and the defensive mode here at the expense of trashing a card when you go to play him out of life. Kikunojo is a really solid trigger option for any deck that really wants to play triggers, and Katakuri is no different. It's also one that it's useful to know when you have it at the top of your life, because if your opponent swings at you too early, sometimes they won't be down to the 3 life to get the trigger condition. So knowing that it's there means you can choose to defend it. Defend the life so you can get their life total down low enough. It's overall a very good card. Next up, we have Basil Hawkins, who fits into the aggressive style of the deck. Just playing him out on your 5-Dawn turn and then attaching one to leader is quite a strong thing. Your opponents really can't afford to clear him, at least not without KO or with KO or battle. Because that trashing the life is really plays into your game plan. After that, we have, I'm going to kind of put these two in as stand-in for the rest of the package as well, because you are already wanting to run a bunch of triggers. The new Thriller Bark Pirates deck adds a lot for Katakuri. You can even try to set up these Morias here in your life and get them into a nice spot, because one of the downsides to the Moria triggers is most of the time those triggers come out rested, which can really stifle your ability to build board if your opponents are playing around it properly. So being able to manipulate the order that these come out and really mess up your opponent's groove by having them come out rested sometimes and active sometimes on a way that you can predict means that you can play around it better than they will be able to. Also, this is just a pretty solid aggressive angle, because if your opponent can't clear the rested characters that come out from your triggers, then you're getting that free advantage without any cost to your hand size, unlike the old trigger bodies. Next up, we have Satori, who's another 2K option, fitting in with the aggressive bent, where you can just make sure that when he triggers out, you just get a free 5K body. It would probably be either Beji or Satori, or split between the two. I wouldn't imagine you would run both at a full 4 of, but depending on how your deck is playing out, either of these is a solid option for your 2K slots. After that, we have this Nami. Gives us some removal that works really well with the number of triggers that we want to run. So yeah, that's just hard to say otherwise with this one. It's just a really solid card. And then I just wanted to put in this Robin. She kind of stands in for all of the life burn style things. because we want to be an aggressive deck, some number of these cards fits in the deck. Robin in particular has the trigger, so I put her in there, being able to trigger out some, maybe a Lilith, or maybe if you have the Parasparrow or something like that, being able to use those off a trigger is pretty reasonable. And then otherwise they have pretty similar ability otherwise. Final card I wanted to go over in this kind of shortened video is You're the One Who Should Disappear. This is 100% the card you want to put on the bottom. If you see this in your life, you put it on bottom and then you just switch to looking at your opponent's life, because you don't have to think about it anymore. This is the epitome of a perfect last trigger. Giving you an extra life is super hard for your opponents to play around, and you knowing that it's there will be able to make some very seemingly risky plays that your opponent is going to have difficulties playing around. So great card for the deck, and also a good way of getting rid of if you've got too many bricks for whatever reason, because Kikunojo and maybe the Moria and your Big Mom are all bricks. This is a great way to turn those bricks into counter. So those are the cards I wanted to go over. Let's hop over to the sim and I'll go over a sample deck list and then we'll wrap up. All right, so here's the sample deck list I came up with. I noticed in building it that I was pretty close to running all triggers. So I figured I would just go for it and run all triggers. So this is probably a little suboptimal for that reason. But I think this is still pretty reasonable. One of the main ways you're going to be able to catch up with an older leader like this is through something kind of unfair, quote unquote, like triggers. So I ended up just trying to max that out. Maxed out the zero cost event because of how good it is with the leader. We've got Kikunojo, and then we have Nami and Boa, because we're all maxed out on triggers. These are always going to be active. And then for the most part, it was the Thriller Bark package here, just as a way to kind of fill board in the mid game. And then finally, we have our 2K suite, which is I did Otama as another aggressive card, and then Beji as another way card that was great to set up timing on. So pretty simple. I guess 2 Hawkins to fill out the 50, just as another aggressive card. Pretty simple overall. We have a good number of counterless cards, so the zero drop events are actually playing a pretty big role here. Being able to get rid of Kikunojo's, Absalom's, Moria, and Hancock. One of the things that's kind of difficult with the Thriller Barks Pirates type yellow cards is that you need cards in the trash for them. And you don't have very good options on the 2Ks, so you have to give up multiple cards to get these in the trash if your opponent starts swinging larger. So the zero cost event also can help there, letting you get one of these into the trash for the triggers on time. So that is the deck that I came up with, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Next up, I think we will have the Black starter deck Luffy. That is, I don't remember if it's ST, guess it would be ST08. Yeah, ST08 is the next one. Definitely probably one of the more forgotten leaders that exists. But it's mono black, and that'll be what we're getting into next time. So hope you guys are looking forward to that, and I will see you then. Bye.